Hey everyone, Troy Burtch here. In case you didn't hear, we're taking a break over the month of August. Gone drinking, as it were. That said, we've gone into the podcast archives and have selected some of our favorite episodes to revisit in our absence. Whether it's one you missed the first time around or one worth listening to again, we hope you'll enjoy them as much as we did. The following episode with Catherine Oppedisano, Always on the Rise, was released in July of 2025, and it's a beauty. Catherine Oppedisano's first ever shift in the beer industry lasted exactly one day and ended up with her falling off a table. It turned out to be the start of one of the most interesting rides in Ontario craft beer. That single November 2012 shift with Great Lakes gave way to years repping sales and building social media from scratch at Flying Monkeys, then a jump to Mill Street just before its sale to Labatt, then nearly 5 years growing the innovation program at Collective Arts as the team scaled from 25 people to over 50. Today, Catherine is Vice President of Marketing at Steam Whistle Brewing, where she's led the brand's retro return to one thing really well, helped fold Bose Brewing into the portfolio after the 2022 merger, and recently took on a leadership role at the historic Roundhouse. In this episode, you'll learn about Catherine and Steam Whistle, about her one and only shift at Great Lakes in 2012, building Flying Monkey's East End sales and social presence from the ground up, even handmade sell sheets included. Moving to Mill Street and living through its sale to Labatt as a national brand manager, scaling Collective Arts innovation team, including its cannabis beverage line, why Steam Whistle went back to doing one thing really well and how folding in the Bose Brewing shaped the new portfolio, and stepping into a leadership role at the Roundhouse in her push to make it a must-visit Toronto destination. Enjoy the show. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you thirsty bunch of beer drinkers, whenever and wherever you're tuning in from. Thanks for pressing play and supporting a Canadian podcast. I'm Troy Burtch with Great Lakes, Ontario's local brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery based right here in Etobicoke who brings you this here Between Two Fermenters, the podcast where craft beer and conversation collide, straight from the tanks to your ears. Today's guest is someone I first met back in November of 2012, or around that time. Great Lakes was getting set to host their annual Movember event at Verst, a very popular bar restaurant on King West, launching a new beer called Bert's Reserve Stash, featuring, you guessed it, an image of Burt Reynolds and his famous lip hair. She was working for us, sampling the product, and may or may not have fallen off a table that night. But since that time, my guest has become a force, not only here in the Ontario craft beer scene, but the Canada beer market as a whole. Her ascension in the industry is nothing but inspiring. Catherine Oppedisano has worked her way through some of the most recognized breweries in the province, from her early days repping and handling social media at Flying Monkeys to shifting over to Mill Street to take on the national marketing role at a time when the brewery was being handed over to Labatt. That change, as we'll hear, was pivotal in her career. At Collective Arts, she led innovation and marketing through nearly 5 years of explosive growth for the brand, and now she's at the helm of brand and marketing at Steam Whistle Brewery, where she currently serves as Vice President of Marketing. Under her leadership, Steam Whistle has embraced a bold, retro rebrand, reconnecting its visual identity to the historic Roundhouse and leaving its mark across the province, to getting back to doing one thing really, really well, managing brands acquired from Bose All Natural Brewery, and creating memorable campaigns that resonate with beer drinkers throughout Canada. Her work has earned nominations like the 2024 LC Partnership Award, a prestigious nod from the LCBO. We'll dig into Catherine's start in beer, the changes she's witnessed and experienced along the way, and we'll explore her creative side, including some closet doodling, walk through what it takes to lead innovation in an industry built on tradition and taste, and why working in beer is her calling. For the first time on this show, though, I'm going to crack something other than a fresh GLB, a fresh bottle of Steam Whistle. I forgot my bottle opener, and I did it with a can. And we're going to dive into a great chat with Catherine. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
It's Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery. We believe in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. It's Great Lakes Brewery. Order online for free local home delivery. In the GTA, good times and amazing beer. That's GLB.
Hello, Catherine. Welcome to Between Two Fermenters.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing?
I'm great.
Great. It's great to have you here today. Are you coming from the Square House or the Round House today?
Today, I'm coming from the Square House just down the road.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, the Round House is the original home of Steam Whistle in downtown Toronto. And the Square House, and I think the Square House is just the name that the staff have given it, but that's the production brewery facility here in Etobicoke, which customers can't just walk into, can they?
You can get beer there, but you can't just stroll in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you. I'm happily going to enjoy this Steam Whistle Pilsner in a bottle. My beer journey really started back in college with a visit from a Steam Whistle rep. I believe his name was Richard Armstrong. And I think he's still kind of kicking around.
Oh, yeah. He works for us.
Yeah, still to this day.
Yeah.
And that first little tasting session changed my perception of what beer is and what beer could be. And from that day forward, I've always loved and appreciated everything about Steam Whistle. And I love drinking it straight from the bottle. So
it's the best.
Yeah, thank you. It'd be great to bring bottles back, eh? Well, you guys already have them, but like the industry.
Yeah. I think we're the last craft brewery with a bottling line, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else other than like the occasional specialty. For sure, like Barrel Heart. They do 750 like champagne bottles, but 341s. I don't think there's anyone doing them right now.
No, we're a dying breed.
All right, well, you got to get your Steam Whistle if you want to drink out of a bottle.
Yeah.
So let's kick this off with some fun stuff, some nostalgia. November 8th, 2012, Bert's Reserve Stash event at Verse. So do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That was it? And you have to clarify this. Was that your first ever shift with Great Lakes?
It was, yeah.
And your last?
And my last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the record of having one day work for Great Lakes under your belt. You were there for a shift with JLB to pour samples and help out with the event. I believe that's probably the first time we met at that event. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was your first beer job, or had you had other tasting experience?
I'd been serving. I worked at Beer Market. That was kind of my foray, and why I wanted to lean into beer. But yeah, it was the Beer Market actually across the street. No, actually, that was before then.
That was before. That would have been the Esplanade location then, I guess.
Yeah. So, that was my first shift working for a craft brewery, because at that time I was a one-track mind trying to get a beer job. So,
and I believe that night you had said, "Oh, by the way, I'm taking a job with Flying Monkeys," and we said, "Well, that is amazing, but you can't work with two breweries."
Yes. I think I signed earlier that morning, actually.
And you're pretty happy. I can remember. For some reason, I could vividly remember that night because it was a really cool event. We had lineups down the road to get in, and it was all about Burt Reynolds and his famous mustache, but. You did fall off. Was it a chair or a table?
It was a table. It was a table.
And it wasn't because you're inebriated. It was because you were so excited about this job. No, you're trying
I think it was a combination of a couple things. Yeah. But I definitely got up on a table. I think somebody had asked me to make an announcement, and I took that task very seriously. I'm going to blame it on a spilt beer on the table. But maybe I had a drink that night. But yes, it was... I was known from there on as the woman who worked one shift and fell off a table. So, but you probably thought you dodged a bullet.
No, not at all. We were actually, I can recall David Beeman, myself, and Rob Hearn when you told us that and we were talking. We were like, "Oh, that sucks," because we thought we really liked you as a person, and we thought she's going to be great for us. But since that time, you have really taken off in this industry, like skyrocketed. From falling off a table to where you are today. So
start at the bottom.
But before we get into your career in beer, I would like you to introduce yourself, tell the listeners a little bit about who you are outside of beer before we dive into all the breweries you've worked for and all the roles you've had along the way. Oh, and by the way.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I mean, you told me to do it in front of the mic, so I was waiting for my moment. Hold on. There we go.
And you're drinking a Sunnyside Session IPA.
Yes,
today.
I've always loved this beer. It's fantastic.
3.9%.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Big on the taste, low on the alcohol.
Yeah, love that. But yeah, no, I mean, who am I outside of beer? I'm a mother now.
Yeah.
I'm very creative. I like to garden. I live in the east end of Toronto, just down the street from Troy. Around the corner, we run into each other often.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise that day.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Beer maybe occupies too much of my time.
So what were you doing before beer, though? Like, what would you do in school? And
I studied psychology and business, actually, and I always kind of felt like the combination of the two was so natural for marketing. So that's kind of where my head was at. And then I worked in bars and restaurants for my years. I worked through university at a bar, and then post-university was a server at a beer bar. And that's kind of what let me into trying to figure out. I saw all these reps coming in and out of the doors, dropping samples off. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. I remember there was like a Sam Adams homebrew contest, and you had to design a label for this contest, and there's this whole summit, and that's kind of what maybe opened my mind to the possibilities in the industry, and that, that's a cool job that connects. There's something about beer that always drew me, where it was just when you're deciding to sit and have a beer with somebody, you're choosing to spend a very defined amount of time with another human, and it's, I don't know, I think some of the best conversations can be had over a pint of beer.
It's the social lubricant that brings people together.
Yeah.
And do you remember what the first beer that you had that was like, oh damn, or was it the experience first and then the beer after?
I think it was definitely, I remember I spent a university summer in BC, and I was working at some touristy bar, and I was out one evening and I actually had a wheat beer for the first time. And honestly, it was Hogarden. It wasn't anything like crazy, but it was the first time I had a beer that wasn't just one of your traditional, lagers or maybe a red ale. And I just it kind of blew my mind that beer could taste that way. And it really kind of set me off to exploring it. When I came home from BC, went back to school, I started actually just seeking it out and learning a bit more about the culture and kind of seeing how quickly that industry was growing. So, when you're post-university and you're looking for a job, you're like, this is a growing industry. That's that might be a nice path.
Yeah. So your gateway maybe could have been a Hogarden, if you could look back. Like mine was, I will say, mine was a combination of Alexander Keith's and until Steam Whistle had that first one.
My parents we always had a case of blue. When I was younger, it was blue in the cold room, and then it transitioned when we got classy. It was Creemore.
Okay, yeah.
So Creemore was definitely Creemore or Sleeman Golden something.
Sleeman Cream or Sleeman Brown.
Cream,
yeah.
Sleeman Brown, depended what was on sale. It didn't matter. But those were the beers that I was stealing. But then, my first kind of it was just a totally different flavor, and I was started to just actually look for it and chase it and try to understand. Okay, what could this be? So embarrassingly, maybe.
I wouldn't say embarrassingly. It's you got to start somewhere, right? I've told this story before. Bar Towel existed years ago in online form, and I was so passionate about beer. I was so in love with beer, and I wrote on there that I love Keith's IPA, and the vitriol that came my way. But hey, that was a wake up call. It was a learning call. I was like, oh well, give me some other ones to try, and people said try these ones, and so I made the trek from back home all the way to Toronto because you couldn't get some of these beers, and I brought them back, and I was like, okay, now I get it. But in Hogarden, I have some experience working for Labatt. Hogarden, back when I worked at Labatt in 2006, it was a mind-blowing beer at the time.
Yeah, it's 15 years ago, and if you've never had a wheat beer and you've never had anything that deviated far from just your standard lager, it's like, well, this is beer? And
the Olin Specialty Beer Co., which was bringing it in for Labatt at the time, they did so much to elevate what beer is and what beer could be in this province that it allowed craft breweries to kind of ride their coattails in a sense.
For sure.
It taught bars how to properly handle beer, how to keep it fresh, how to make sure that the lines are clean, all that stuff. So we'll give a little bit of props to them for that. But so with this episode, I want to do something a little differently than I do with every other episode that we've recorded to date. I'd like to start with your present day role and then rewind, go backwards in time to hear about all the steps, the roles at the various breweries you've helped shape along the way. So you're the vice president of marketing at Steam Whistle.
Yes.
How long have you been in that role, and what does that role entail?
So I've been in the role for about 3.5 years. Really, we do everything internally. We don't use agencies. We have a mighty creative team of 2 that report into me. So working from everything from a creative strategy. We're lucky to have incredible designers that make the job a lot easier. And then everything from pricing to programming to product innovation, working with our brewmaster. Figuring out what new ways we want to show up in market, pack programming. Again, when you have one beer, you can't always lean on new flavors or releases. You have to be clever with formats, be clever with programming, and how you kind of show up in market. So everything really, if you're thinking price, programming, product, positioning, I got a hand in all that.
And then today I learned that you're at the Roundhouse,
yes.
And looking after the Roundhouse. So what's that all about?
Yeah. So about probably 4 months ago now, I took kind of a leadership role at the Roundhouse. So from the restaurant side, and we do a lot of events in that space. Really kind of leading that experience, making sure that we're showing up as well as we can, making sure that we're blowing up, our tailgate experience kind of post baseball games. That building, if anybody's been there who's listening, it's a fantastic venue. It's one of a kind. It's kind of this one-off heritage site in the middle of the downtown core with a park attached, which is you're now legally able to drink in, which is pretty incredible. So just really kind of trying to work to realize the full potential of that building.
So someone can buy a can or a 6-pack and go right into the park and just drink it now.
Yeah.
We
put a sticker on it.
What a civilized society we are.
Yeah. So bring a picnic blanket.
But the most recent thing that you've worked on is the retro rebrand.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in that because it takes me back to the Steam Whistle I kind of grew up with.
Yes.
Tell me about what the retro rebrand is and why it makes sense now for Steam Whistle.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody knows kind of the brand journey a little bit, there was a decision made. It was actually, I think in my second week joining Steam Whistle, where I just asked maybe the blunt elephant in the room. It was after a period of time where we had Steam Whistle had launched some line extensions. There was a shandy, there was a pale ale, there was a light release, and they're all great beers. But it did formally move the brand away from its founding kind of principle of do one thing really, really well. And in that first week, I was kind of nervous to ask, but I just kind of came out with it. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, why aren't we doing one thing really, really well again? Especially, with Bose as part of the portfolio as well. That's a brand to innovate with. Why not stick to that principle? And in that room with Greg Taylor and Bronwyn Bethune, our president, we actually decided to go back to do one thing. And we had a sales meeting the next day. That's why we were having that meeting. And we actually announced it to the sales team saying, we've made the decision. We're going back to do one thing. So,
welcome to Steam Whistle.
Welcome
Catherine,
to
just
Steam
blow things up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was something that everybody wanted, but it was a force of the conversation. And, it was a great opportunity to just actually show that we're switching things up. So there had been a lot of management change. Greg Taylor was ousted, the original founder, and then brought back in. And it was about a year and a bit after he was brought back in, he was building up his team, that this decision was made. And I think it was true to him coming back to those original kind of roots of the organization and going back to those the brand wasn't broken, and for some reason it was fully changed, and it maybe reflected us trying to have more of a corporate identity. I wasn't there for the shifts, but leaning back into these assets of that always were supposed to call in a time where things were done well, a simpler time. And when, appliances were built to be fixed instead of replaced, like it was, and the Steam Whistle at the end of the day really represents the, kind of the signal to a worker when that steam whistle rang that, you're done your work for the day and that it's time for your reward. So all those things kind of feel more relevant now than ever. It just feels like we're all in this time where we bring our computers home and work and home stop having this distinction, which was the steam whistle, was the end of the day. When you finished your factory job, you were done. You made your commitment. But now, you know, especially kind of through COVID, which I just joined kind of right on the end of that, it just felt like work equaled home. So just calling back to that and kind of feeling like we could give people that opportunity to disconnect. And I mean, beer and having that beer with a friend, and you weren't able to go to bars for so long that it kind of felt like we wanted to give people that excuse again. So calling back all of those original assets and maybe refreshing them a little bit, but putting them back on our packaging felt really important. And it felt, you know, a signal of going back to do one thing really, really, really well, but also kind of trying to capture this identity again of quality and, you know, when things were made better, it felt like the right thing to do. And it feels right going back to it.
But you know what? It looks bolder than it ever has. It stands out more, in my opinion, on shelves. That green is just in your face.
Yeah.
And then the big, you know, what's it say? Reward yourself, drink Steam Whistle.
Yeah, drinks. Yeah. I mean, we're one of
drink Steam Whistle.
Yeah, drink Steam Whistle Pilsner is literally our logo, which again, I think it's grandfathered in. You're not allowed to tell somebody to do something in your logo, but because it's our logo and it's been trademarked for so long, we're drink Steam Whistle, but it's a call to action as much as it is a logo. So
you mentioned you kind of joined Steam Whistle at the end of COVID, so it was 2022, and you came into the role as brand and innovation director, then moved on to senior director of brand and innovation. So other than going back to one thing really, really well, what other projects were you working on at that time?
So, I mean, at that time we were integrating Bose. That was a big, big project, trying to kind of look at that brand through a fresh lens. We actually, you know, got rid of everything but Lug Tread and rebuilt that portfolio up from the ground up, really, and integrating beer, integrating them into kind of all our brand systems. At the time, you know, reviewing how our social media channels looked, figuring out how we showed up in market. I think Bose kind of lost trust and favor with a lot of people. So, you know, trying to build back trust for a brand is an uphill battle. So that was a big project. But then obviously, you know, moving away from a bunch of secondary listings for Steam Whistle, like there was a lot of work just even cleaning that up. But at that time, we also had New Belgium under our wing. So making sure that brand showed up in market as well as it could have and getting that out there. And again, we at that time had our full sales team. So making sure they had, you know, tools and resources and yeah.
And you had Phillips from BC at the time as well, too. So there was a lot in a portfolio from a sales perspective at that time. What was the reaction like when, you know, you joined and you're brand new and you have that meeting, then you have the sales meeting the very next day to say, by the way, this is Catherine, and we're getting rid of the Shandy, the light session lager, the session light lager. What was the reception like? Were reps happy?
The team cheered.
Yeah.
Like genuinely cheered. I've like, and I mean, you know this better than I do, like trying to get a reaction from a sales team is like, Jesus. Yeah. I work hard to try to get any positive reactions.
Oh, you're just in marketing. What do you know? Yeah.
I know. But it was like, because, you know, our team, many of them had been around through so much transition. I've been around for 10 plus years. So feeling that they could go into an account being like, get rid of all those, list these instead. It felt like the right thing, I think. So they were happy. Yeah. Less work, I guess.
I think I remember someone saying this at one point that someone had said to Greg at one point, Greg Taylor, the president of, the CEO?
CEO, founder,
that when all the other brands were coming out and trying to get listed at the beer store or whatever, someone from the beer store said, oh, so you've kind of given up on the Pilsner with these other brands. And I think that was a thing that resonated with him to be like, totally. Oh shit, we got to get back to what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned Bose. I want to talk about Bose because I recall, I don't know if it was at Great Lakes or we were chatting somewhere and you said, okay, I'm looking after some of the Bose branding right now. And, we're gonna cut ties with a lot of the brands and get back to simplify. And I remember saying, so no more Gruits, right? And it's a running joke in the industry, but so no more Gruits from Bose. Have you guys done one since?
There's a small ask out of the Van Cleek Hill, and maybe anybody listening from that love Gruits are gonna maybe hate me for it, but I mean, you just have to make beer for an audience that is greater than the Gruit audience.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll leave that one.
Okay. So from a marketing and brand perspective, can you share some insights on what it was like to get your hands on the Bose brands when Steam Whistle purchased, and if there were any early challenges that you experienced? And
I mean, it was interesting because when I was actually hired and when I was being courted for the position, Brahman wasn't actually able to tell me what brand was being pulled into the fold because it was still confidential. So I actually took the job, and only once I signed was I able to find out that it was Bose. And I had suspicions. It made sense, but I was excited because it's a brand that I obviously grew up in the industry understanding and knowing, and they just have such an incredibly rich history. And just what they've done over the years, they've been part of paving the way for a lot of us. So I think COVID was really hard on them, and I think there was, just from my perspective, there's just so much potential. And there's definitely kind of a heyday of Bose. And I just felt like, okay, let's strip it back and figure out like what are the most important things that need to stay. And then let's kind of rebuild from there and start to kind of gain some new attention on the brand, because I think it maybe hit a little bit of its ceiling at some point. So it was exciting. It was fun. It's a brand that I think people have a love for, and it connects with a very specific audience, and I think it's quite special. So I think we've only really even scratched the surface of what we can kind of keep doing with that brand.
You have, in looking at sales data, the brand has come back, essentially, like risen from the ashes. But what kind of challenges did you have with maybe public perception or internally at the time, when the decision was made to go to just back to lug tread and then work your way? Did you have any pushback, or did you have any challenges from, in your role?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, like even if brands are small, there's a following. There's somebody who's going to that store and picking it up every week, and you're always going to disappoint somebody. But I think, because we were also transitioning brewery from brewing everything in Van Cleek Hill to coming into the Square House, it felt like a necessary evil to kind of re-spark the excitement around the brand. And I also knew that, out of the ashes of some of these longstanding brands was going to be some incredible new things that were inspired by a lot of these existing brands. And, our packaging to the things that we pull out, it's very much inspired by what did really well over the years. And I think one of the things that's most interesting about Bose is that they had so many limited releases, and some of the beers that had the greatest fanfare had only been released once or twice. So going back and actually using Van Cleek Hill as kind of our resource for information on what we should bring back was actually really helpful, because I think a lot of the stuff that we've ended up doing has been very much inspired by the best of those limited releases. And it's just trying to actually create a portfolio that is relevant, and people, it just caught up with maybe the times in beer.
And I like what you said earlier, that you get back to one thing with Steam Whistle and you use Bose as your innovation line of beer. So what brands do you have out there in the market from Bose right now? You have the Lug Tread.
We have Lug Tread. Lug Light was the kind of first one out of the gates, which, again, it was 4% beautiful, 4-ingredient, all natural, kind of no high gravity brewing, meant to kind of be the alternative to those big macro light lagers. And then we have Juiced AF, which is really kind of that big, bold 6.5, meant to kind of taking inspiration. Again, we had Voodoo Ranger in our portfolio at that time, and we saw the what they were doing in the US with just kind of these really attracting a whole new drinker with something that just kind of like blew your mind a little bit. And then we've got Wonder Crush, which is just meant to be, very much crushable. It's meant to be kind of in the same vein as Sunnyside. It's full flavor, but just a 5%. But again, even that one's got both Juiced AF and Wonder Crush. We actually used a retro illustration from the archives on the can to kind of pay homage to the history. And then our most recent release is Barn Burner, which is a beautiful red ale and amber ale, kind of gorgeous malty sweetness, but with a super dry finish, and just kind of our reps were like, nobody has a beer that's knocking off Rickard's Red's taps. And I'm just like, how is that possible? So
how is Rickard's Red still out there?
How is Rickard's Red still out there? So we made a beer for those folks.
So in 2024, you were nominated for an LCBO LC Partnership Award for the beer, cider, and ready to drink. That's a pretty cool thing. How did you feel when you heard that?
Oh, I mean, it was incredible.
Why did you get nominated?
I know. I actually have been nominated twice, but I'm a nominee, not a winner, which is, one of these days. No, it was incredible. I mean, the LCBO was absolutely integral to, we had more conversation with the LCBO than, nailed it. Sorry, I just opened another bottle with a can, or can with a bottle with a can. Yeah, got it. But yeah, I mean, it was an incredible honor. Like, we were working so closely with the LCBO. Mm-hmm. The brand was changing more than it ever had. Delisting, removing products from the market, introducing more products than they had seen in a really long time. It was just a lot of engagement with them, and I think they saw the results. And I've worked with the LCBO for so many years that maybe they're just throwing me a bone, but I know it's an honor, because you work in the shadows really as a marketer in a lot of ways. So being kind of acknowledged was great, but one of these days I'll win it. Maybe.
So let's talk a little bit about your proudest times. What's next at Steam Whistle? Kind of before we move on to the next, your previous brewery. If you could sum up your experience at Steam Whistle and what's next at Steam Whistle.
I mean, honestly, there's been so many little micro moments that I celebrate, and I mean, sure, just like you, we're so busy that it's hard to actually look back and think of the good things, because there's so many things to do. But I think going back to do one thing is a proud moment. Mm-hmm. I feel like when you can have any permanent mark on a company or a brand, it feels like, wow, okay, I had some impact, directing the course of this incredible company with a rich history. I built my team from scratch. There's nobody on my team now that was there when I started. So that's nice. And I brought a lot of people over with me from different times in the industry of a lot of ex-collective arts folks. We
have a lot of Steam Whistle folks at Great Lakes.
There you go. We move around. But I'm honestly, I think I've got my creative team. The creative team was there before I started, I should clarify. But I've got one of the most incredible teams. And again, that's not something that's maybe publicly viewed, but I just feel like I'm the luckiest person to get to work with some of the people that surround me every day. I think just really rebuilding the visuals around the brand. Again, it's something that maybe you can feel it's not so obvious to, the everyday person who engages with the brand, but just, I feel like we're being true to the roots, and we're showing up in the world the way the brand's supposed to be. So those are the things that make me feel super proud. And I've had a really, really great time leaning into the Roundhouse. For any of you who've been there, again, it's just such a special place, and there's an energy about that building. I know, I cut my, what's the expression? I cut my teeth.
Cut your teeth?
I cut my teeth in that building. I was at so many events, and I was always in awe. So actually getting to be in that building every day and see the action and be part of it, and that just feels, really, really special. So
really, it's rated.
Really, it's part of it. It's part of my identity now. Damn it.
Okay, so let's rewind now to your time at Collective Arts in Hamilton. You joined the company in 2019 as the director of marketing, leaving Mill Street, correct?
Yeah.
What made you want to jump over to, and this is a little shot maybe at them, but what made you want to jump over to a craft brewery again?
Yeah.
Because you started at craft. We talked about Flying Monkeys, then Mill Street, then. Yeah,
I mean, it was interesting because they had, they always want to keep the people who are tied to the brand so they can keep the identity. By they, I mean Labatt. Yeah. So they'd made a pretty strong case for me to stay, but, I was young and hungry to be part of an entrepreneurial venture. And at that time, Collective was such a small, exciting space. I love art and I love design around beer particularly. And I was just like, it was a perfect collision. It was calling me, and it was definitely a pay cut. It was definitely not for anything but the experience that I felt would come with it. And I just, I was a little bit worried about being in more of a siloed organization where maybe I wouldn't have impact. I love to feel actually the results of my actions. So it felt like, okay, this is a team of maybe 25 at that time when they were just starting, and I'd kind of admired them a bit from far. So it felt obvious to me, even though, I look back sometimes when you take it's a safer bet to stay with the big company that's going to pay you more money. But I'm so happy I made that decision.
So they'll pay you more money until the day that they don't.
Yeah. Exactly.
So let's talk about your time at Collective, because you held a number of titles and positions. You were there for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Yep. Before heading to Steam Whistle. So it was a huge period.
Almost 5.
Almost 5 years.
Okay. 4.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
It was a huge period of growth though for Collective during those times, and you were right there in the mix. So what were those years like, kind of building this, like you said, 25 staff and just growing it into what it's known today?
It was chaos, but like the most we had the team, like the Collective Arts really attracted some of the most incredible people I've ever worked with. That's why so many of them are on my team now. Yeah. There was a very special culture there, especially in those days. We felt like we were building something special, and it was just like, it was really in the heyday of growth of the industry as well. So we kind of felt we felt like if you worked hard and you put the right amount of energy in, you could really do anything. And it was such a unique idea, and at that time we were actually taking it global. So it felt big and it felt important. There was long hours, and it sometimes your personal life suffered a little bit, but it was so much fun, and it was just something that I think is you can't really fabricate that kind of energy. So it was pretty awesome to be part of a team that was building something so cool.
And the brands, you were like Collective, going from maybe Mill Street to Collective, different vibe, obviously, different culture, obviously, but the brands, there's so many brands at Collective at the time.
Yeah, oh my God. Well, I mean, it started with only a handful, but by the time I left, because I was a director of innovation, so
so you're responsible for that, but you joined as the director of marketing. So my question would be on that. How challenging was it as a marketer, or even with staff, but keeping track of so many beers, campaigns, marketing initiatives? We do a lot of beers at Great Lakes. We have 8-year rounds, and then all the seasonals and the one-offs. But how did you find it as director of marketing to keep everything kind of above water with all those brands? I
mean, I think that was our number one challenge, right? Like, I think, especially being involved in innovation and wanting every one of your, like, the little babies, you're just so excited about them and you want them all to be super successful, but you can't give everything endless attention, right? But I think it was always a challenge, but it always felt like we're just throwing darts at the wall, and it felt like the stake of each one was low because we had so many pokers in the fire. And I think there's a balance of maybe too many pokers in the fire and having the right number. But, even one of my, pride points of working there is developing their cannabis beverage line, and actually,
just sold. Yeah,
that just sold. And the number one beverage still in Ontario is a beverage that I formulated with somebody who's on my team right now and in our the brewmaster at Collective Arts. So it was great, but it was also like sometimes you put so much heart and soul into building a beverage or a category, and then, it doesn't get the pickup or attention. So yeah, I mean, it's just, you're being pulled in a lot of directions. But I think at the end of the day, it felt like the end goal was build the company. And even if the projects not all of them succeeded, it felt like there's so much going on that you could afford to fail. And it was a very much like an entrepreneurial mindset of like, try a bunch of things. People are going to love some things and they're not going to care about others, and you can let those things go.
Tell me about the innovation side of the role. So you got to just come up. Actually, just tell me what was the innovation?
I had so much. It was so much fun. So it would be Ryan Morrow, the brewmaster at Collective Arts, and Rachel Giroir, who's on my team actually at Steam Whistle. We'd have these weekly innovation meetings where we were creating beverages for beer, cider, spirits, bitters, coffee, sparkling, non-alcoholic beverages, and RTDs.
See, like I said, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But every week we'd be, looking at flavor trends, trying new things, ordering different ingredients from different suppliers. And Rachel was the mastermind with Ryan in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Oh, we did sparkling teas as well. Mm-hmm. But so every week we would taste, 30 different things, and we would decide what's good, what's not good, and that would be how we planned our schedule. And it would be about 2 releases to 3 releases a week. And honestly, that was so much fun. But I was honestly on the other end at that point where I was like, to the rest of the team who was pushing these things out, I'm like, I had favorites, and you just want all of them to get attention. But it was a super creative time. Oh, cannabis beverages too. So.
Yeah. Did you have any stake in the cannabis beverage? Like, it sold for $24 million.
No, I didn't. I just, yeah. What are you going to do? Regrets.
So how did your role keep evolving? Because as I said, you started as director of marketing, but then you kept going up at Collective. So when you left, what was your position?
I was director. I was still director of innovation. I was like marketing. I was a national marketing manager when I started. So director was a big deal for me. And yeah, VP's only come of Steam Whistle.
Steam Whistle, which is huge. But how did your role keep evolving as the company grew?
I mean, the company kept changing. So I had at so many different milestones in my time there. I had led the sales team. I had led the tap room and beer garden experience there. I was, led innovation, led marketing. So I wore every hat at some point, and I think, I was kind of like Matt called me his plate spinner. Matt Johnson is the founder of the company. And he called me his plate spinner. He would kind of point me in the direction of whichever plate was starting to get wobbly. And I love fixing things. I love project management. When you're doing that much innovation, being kind of the center spoke and keeping all the different areas of the business on the same page, the complexity that comes with that many releases and figuring out, like, we have like 18 different fruits coming from 7 different suppliers, and making sure that procurement knows exactly what needs to arrive when, and if it needs to be frozen or dried. So managing complexity was just, I was kind of pointed in the direction.
It's a good title, manager of complexity.
Oh, yeah.
But it sounds like you like a challenge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Then let's go to Mill Street.
Yeah.
You were there. Okay, so let me start over here. Let's get into the Mill Street years. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but but would I be so bold as to assume that these years were the most beneficial to your growth in both a personal and professional manner, as you went from working in a large craft brewery, Mill Street, to being purchased by Labatt, marketing manager handling social media, to assuming the role of national brand manager? What was it like? Was it like a great time for you, both personally and professionally, just to grow into this? Yeah,
I mean, I've been so lucky at so many junctures in my career to have people who've just taken a leap of faith on me, and Mill Street was definitely one of them. And it was at a time when, it's funny, the boss that hired me within 6 months of joining the company was fired. But then it took some time to replace them, and then it's, you're always, the dynamics around that start to get interesting. But
that might have been, was it scary? Like, the person that hired you 6 months, they're gone? Like,
yeah, I mean,
your ally is out the door?
I feel like I'm yes, 100%. I feel like I was the type to just triple down in those moments where I was like, I need to be invaluable. Like, you can't, I need to think you're screwed if you lose me. But yeah, no, I mean, I learned everything there, right? Like, it was just a lot of industry veterans, and it was just one of those big brands that actually, I was lucky, one of few brands that had a little bit of, history and money, whereas a lot of the small brands are trying to figure out, how to just exist and grow, where they had this established base, and in the background having these conversations with Labatt, which I didn't know about until the day before it happened. And they brought me into this room, this PR team brought me into this room saying, because I was a social media manager, and they know,
hey, heads up, you're going to get a lot of...
Here's a pre-written script that we have for you of approved responses that were very, so that was but again, I got to do everything from building brands to creating labels to, at that time I also kind of was running the experience at the Distillery District location. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it was it was great. I don't know why they hired me. I had no relevant experience. I just, someone, again, took a leap of faith and didn't want anyone to have any regrets. So I worked very hard.
So that was 2014 when you joined Mill Street, and you were there for almost 3 years. What was the biggest takeaway that you left with that would propel you forward for all the other jobs you've had since then?
I mean, it's going to be funny to say, but nobody knows what they're doing. That was my biggest, like everybody is making it up every single day. And I think when you're young, you think everybody knows exactly what they're doing and that they have the answer. But that was the place that I realized that everybody is figuring it out as they go. And if you can approach something with, an open mind and you can do the research and you can come up with a creative solution to whatever the problem is, you can be trusted with something that might be even bigger than your role. So I think, when you're younger in your career, you just feel like you feel small and you feel insignificant and you feel like, okay, everybody's these experts. But then when you kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit, and this is no knock on anybody there, it's at everywhere. It's like everybody is actually, every day is different. Every challenge is a new one. Everybody is figuring it out every single day. And if you can come forward with a solution from a point of research and confidence, you can be empowered to take on that project. And that's what I just kept doing is like, hey guys, I see this thing that's broken over here. I have an idea. Can I fix it? Here's my thoughts. And then if somebody said yes, that would be one more thing that I've learned how to do. And then one more thing. And you might be terrified if they say, yeah, do it. And then you're like, shit, what have I done? But that's literally how I built my entire career.
It's paid off for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's paid off for you, for sure. I want to hear about the transition. So you get there in 2014. When did they sell? In 2015?
Oh man, you probably know. I don't. It's been a while.
I think it's 2015.
Yeah.
So you were there, and you get this news, and you're doing the social media. But what was it like at the time where you're going from a beloved Toronto craft brewery that was really at the forefront with Steam Whistle as, I wouldn't say the pioneers because they weren't the pioneers, but they were the second wave of craft. And what was it like? What was the hate like? What was it like at that time? Because it would be very interesting to be in a chair that you had and experiencing that sale.
Yeah. I mean, it was hard because I had just spent, just shy of 3 years building a brand, trying to continue to make people feel like we're, special and individual and organic and that we care. And then you're getting yelled at by your greatest fans because you aren't what they thought you were. So it was tough because, I mean, you take it personally. Like it's the brand that you're representing, the brand that you're the face
everywhere
of
you go
ways.
to, you just said it, you sink yourself into the role. And so when the attack is on the brand, you're taking it personally because you feel it. So it's ingrained in you.
Yeah. And it was like, and the answers that I had for people were authentic, being like, well, we're still hiring. We're still hiring and employing, people from Ontario. Like our brewery is still active. People in our tap room, like nobody's different. But like again, part of you is in the back of your mind is itching to be like, okay, well, we are different in some way. So it was like you had to come to terms with it. And I feel like that's the reason I ultimately left, is because I felt like my journey with like craft beer was not done. But you know what? Like I would not trade that experience for anything. Getting the opportunity to peek behind the curtain made me much better at my job. I got to work with some of the smartest people I've ever had the opportunity to work for. And again, I'll tip my hat to Labatt on how that it's such a meritocracy there. If you're very good and you work hard, you're rewarded, you're promoted, you're acknowledged. And I felt, sometimes when you're coming from a small brewery, there might be a family connection, or there might be somebody who came in who was there from the beginning and just, has the seniority, but the company's so young that seniority means more than it should. So, I felt very much like, okay, this is a group of hardworking people. If you're hardworking and you're dedicated, you can grow and you can rise. And I like that mentality versus, where I was here for longer, I have the final say. So I learned a lot there. But yeah, my journey ultimately just wasn't done with craft beer in the industry, and it was just having such an important rise. And I think that's why, big breweries were acquiring little breweries.
Yeah. And now we get to your time at Flying Monkeys.
Yeah.
So the brewery you left GLB for. No, so it's 2012. You do one shift at Great Lakes. You'd signed in the morning to join. Was it Flying Monkeys or Robert Simpson at that time?
No, it was Flying Monkeys.
It was Flying Monkeys, yeah. It was probably right around that time
Yeah.
where they switched.
Yeah.
So you take a job with Flying Monkeys as a sales rep.
Yep.
In Toronto?
Yeah. East End.
East End. So what was it about Flying Monkeys that attracted you to them? Was it just they had a job and you took it?
They had a job.
Okay.
I was at a university. I had no money. I needed like a paycheck, and I had been serving for a lot of years. I was done. I wanted. You
wanted to get into beer.
Yeah, and that was like, I think I was a little brazen at that time. I even think I went to Great Lakes. I'm like, I need a full-time job or this isn't going to work out. So yeah, they had a job. I had no experience, right? I worked in bars, and I had a university education, and I was volunteering. I kept going to the OCB and offering my time and volunteering there. And I was like, if you ever I asked the lead kind of women there if any.
It would have been Christine Malkins.
Christine Malkins. I owe everything to Christine Malkins. I was like, if there's anything you ever hear of any job board, of any posting that you think could be right for me, just please let me know, and I will. I would like to throw my name in the hat. So that was it. Flying Monkeys needed an East End rep, and it was Sean. Yeah, I don't know if you remember Sean.
I remember Sean Norris.
Sean Norris.
Yeah, Sean Norris.
Who interviewed me in the Only
Cafe. Yeah,
the Only Cafe.
Did you know Fabian Skidmore used to work there?
I did.
Because he makes sure everyone knows that.
Yeah. For a long time. We know. We got it.
Okay, so Sean Norris hired you, and you became an East End rep, selling to bars and restaurants, or retail too?
Nope, just bars and restaurants. Yep.
So you not only sold beer for them, but you handled their social media accounts after a bit? Was that?
Yeah, I think I was seeing, nobody was really doing it. Yeah. It was still when social media was emerging.
You and me share a little commonality in that regard, because I joined Great Lakes, and we had an agency in 2012 doing Twitter and Facebook, and it was our 25th anniversary, and I can just remember, no offense if you're listening, how bad it was. It wasn't on brand at all, and at that time Great Lakes didn't really have a brand. It was, let's brew some beer and just try to sell it, but there was no identity. And so I kind of begged and pleaded, like, in 6 months, give me the keys to this car because I want to take it over. They let me, and same with Flying Monkeys, that someone had the keys, they weren't using them to the benefit of the brewery, and you took it over. Yeah.
There's it was the East End rep and the West End rep, who's Eric, who's still with the company, and I think we both agreed, and it was just a matter of just doing it. Like somebody just needed to do it. It just needed to be part of somebody's job.
Hey, this is where we're selling beer.
The same with they are a sophisticated operation now, so I don't anybody if you're listening, it's no knock on how you're doing things now, but there was no sell sheets. Yeah. So I made my own on Word, and they were horrendous, I'm sure, but they were a piece of paper that I could hand to customer.
I had an iPad that I would go in and actually say,
an iPad.
It was my own. It was my own iPad.
Okay, of course.
And then they would say, "Oh, can you send that to us?" And I'm like, "I have no Wi-Fi. Can I get your Wi-Fi?"
Yeah, classic.
I don't have any data on this, but so was that how you? Doing the social and the sales for Flying Monkeys, do you think that's how it opened the door for you to focus on marketing? Yeah,
the director of sales at Mill Street approached me for a sales job. That was the only reason the conversation even opened. So they actually wanted to get me into an East End sales job at Mill Street. And at that point, I was like, no, if I'm going to change, I'm moving to a marketing role. And they ended up actually creating a job for me that originally it was kind of a hybrid marketing and sales. And then I think I quickly lost the sales piece just because they're like, oh, there's enough for you to do here and you're not.
What was it about the marketing though, that the social media, what was it about it that you like so much?
I just I've always been drawn. I feel when I was a kid, I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw pictures for record labels. That was my childhood idea of what a job should be. So I don't know. I felt like beer labels were the modern alternative. So I just I really loved the, I don't know if you remember the account Good Beer Hunting.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know, like that. I followed that.
Speaking of a good beer hunting, Kate Bernot is going to be a keynote speaker at this year's OCB conference.
Amazing. Well, I'll need to make sure I'm in attendance because I think it was like, I don't know, I was following. I felt like what was happening in the greater universe of beer, even in the U.S., it was just really interesting. And I'm just like, you know what, this is going to happen here. And I felt like, you know, again, I think the sales team, I think sales have one of the hardest jobs, honestly. Like trying to sell beer to bars and restaurants in Toronto is like. I
don't want to, because if people are listening that are sales reps, they might think I'm being a little negative here, but it was different when we were doing it back then.
It was different.
We were working a lot more
collaboratively.
Yes, and a lot more hours, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Because it was night times.
You might have had East, but you were doing everything else that you were doing events. You were doing
deliveries.
And that's all changed. It really has changed.
I mean, our reps do a lot of deliveries, so shout out to our
reps do too, but I'm saying at the same time, like, we used to do, I don't know if you ever did back then, the Wednesday drinks where the reps would get together on the Danforth.
It was amazing. It was great. And you honestly, like at that point, craft beer was still so new to these accounts that you were actually going in with 3-4 other reps and making your case together to say, you will be more successful as a bar if you have an interesting draft lineup. Let us help you. And often we didn't have the money to pay for draft lines, which was in a practice that's, you know, obviously
we still don't.
Yeah,
to this day.
And the second you start, right, it's a slippery slope. But if you come in and make a case as a combination of local, you know, brands that are like your patrons are going to find you more interesting if you have these beers.
Kevin Healy, he was with Steam Whistle back when I was a sales rep.
Yeah,
he would go in and come back out and say, okay, this is what they're looking for. They're looking for an IPA. Troy, you go in. They're looking for a pale ale. Scotty from Wellington, you go in. And that was how we did sales a long time in the East End. And
it was great.
But I feel like we've lost a little bit of that over the years.
Yeah.
Speaking of collaboration and working with other reps, was it on Sabine on Queen Street?
On Sabine.
Was it Toronto Beer Week or Ontario Craft Beer Week that it was the tricycles down the sidewalk?
Yeah, it was Bill Murray's birthday. This was my brainchild. It was my most successful beer event. I think this
so hard to find pictures of you doing this because
oh my god, I have some and
I'm gonna get you to.
So I had found I was wearing. Basically, I found like a cat backpack that I turned into a beer holder that it was wearing on my chest. Anyway, it was like what we built. It was Bill Murray's birthday. I'm a big Bill Murray fan. I just think it's hilarious. But it was Bill Murray's birthday, and the idea was that it was everybody to watch a bunch of reps doing Olympics, and it was like carrying beers, tricycle races. It was a real harebrained bunch of tasks for these reps to do, and it was honestly probably one of the most fun I've ever had. But it was.
I don't think I rode the tricycle, but I showed up just to watch you guys do it. I'm pretty sure, and it was a good. It was a good
chugging contest, which I won. For the record,
who was involved with Scotty? Was there?
Scotty, it was Will. It was Kevin.
Kevin
I think
from
he
Steam
was,
Whistle,
yeah.
John Bukovich from King at the time.
Yeah, King.
Yeah. King Brewery. Yeah.
There was one more. Who am I thinking of?
Sean Seymour, maybe.
Yes.
From I don't know where he was at that day. Junction, maybe back in the day. Yeah.
Junction. Yeah.
Yeah. See, there was a bunch of us that we'd all get together and have a good time.
Whichever reunion.
So. What was one thing you could say that Flying Monkeys taught you that, again, let you go out into the world after Flying Monkeys and just kind of create?
I mean, they kind of just, at the point that they were at, I think they were so open to my ideas and they were like willing, like they're like, well, as long as it doesn't cost us any money, do whatever you want.
Now look at them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it felt like, I don't know, like I have a lot of ideas. Most of them are terrible, but I really love being given the opportunity to run with one because you can't find out if it's good or bad until somebody is willing to let you do something. So I feel like when I came to them with a thought or an idea, I don't really know if they've ever said no. And I think they're a pretty free spirited group. And I think any kind of crazy fun thought felt in line with the brand. So it just kind of like, it helped me build some confidence, I think, is the big one. Yeah,
it's a reason, or no, it might not work is a terrible reason not to try. I think that's the quote.
100%.
So I think we've covered everything pretty well from from your historic.
Yeah, you're
your
probably all
career.
very
Yeah.
bored now.
No,
so
no,
I'm
not
so
at all.
sorry.
This has been fascinating. We're going to get into some rapid fire questions in a second, but I just have two more before we get into that. You've accomplished so much at such a young age. You're very young. What are you most proud of in your beer career to date?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I'm proud to be where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think having Steam Whistle trust me to lead marketing and now the Roundhouse feels like, you know, I always used to admire Steam Whistle when I was younger in my career. So sometimes I can kind of be like, oh wow, I'm the boss. Yeah. You guys trust me. Yeah. So I think sometimes I just have to like stop and reflect and feel like very, very good about the opportunity to get to do the work that I do every day. So
do you ever feel pressure?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
you seem like someone who doesn't.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I feel like I'm good at compartmentalizing, but I think it's also like beer feels very intuitive to me. So if I see a problem, I feel like I very naturally understand like what the solution should be, and I can kind of immediately take steps. I think when I get stressed is when I feel like I'm like, I don't know the answer. So no, I mean, I don't know. I think somebody has to be the calm presence. So I try to, I try not to let things affect me at the end of the day. And I tell this to the team all the time, is like, we sell beer.
Yeah. That's what I tell my team. There's no one dying on a operating table. Yeah. If we make a mistake, we'll fix it tomorrow.
Yes.
Or we'll fix it in the moment, but we'll fix it tomorrow.
The stakes are not.
Let's have fun. Have fun in your job.
Yeah.
Have fun. What's next for you, Catherine?
I mean, I really am only getting my toes. I've only dipped my toes into the Roundhouse. Like, I think I'm so excited with the potential of the building. And I think the team, we have an incredible team there. And I want to blow up tailgates. I want people to know that you must go to a tailgate before a baseball game. That's something you do in Toronto. Yeah. So building the awareness around that, we've already got a really nice base of an audience, and just kind of making sure that those experiences feel like monumental. And I know Toronto, I was part of a focus group because Toronto is really investing on bringing tourism to Toronto over the next 10 years from all over the world. And I think, the way that you have to go to Guinness when you go to Ireland, or you have to go to Heineken when you go to Holland, like, I really want to make Steam Whistle the destination that you must visit when you come to Toronto. So figuring out what are those kind of like experiences, like, I don't know, do you sit in a bath of beer? Do you like go into a room that like automatically transports you to the 70s? Like, those are the type of big ideas that I'm like,
have you been to Heineken around.
I have. It's actually horrible.
Yeah, well, you get to do the roller coaster-ish where you get sprayed and you're coming down the fermenter.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't do that part. I just did the weird, like, kind of, I think the 2000s era images all over the walls.
Yeah, you're sitting in like it's like a roller coaster chair almost, but then you're like kind of falling and moving around. And I think you're supposed to be yeast going through the beer. Yeah,
that's okay. Still, I remember now. I'd had a couple Heinekens at that point.
Yes, they hand them out liberally there.
Yes.
Okay, up next is rapid fire question time. So have a sip, and then hang tight. We'll be right back after a word from Roland Baggets.
Well, how's your doodle? Rollin' Baggets here, rollin' solo down here at Sunnyside Beach. I's likes to get here nice and early to grabs me some prime sandy real estate. I lays out me towel, slather myself liberally with tannin butter, and soak in some tasty vitamin D. Speaking of tasty, looky in me cooler box. A whole gaggle of Sunnyside Session IPA. Big on the taste, low on the alcohol. A springtime, summertime, anytime treat, and a permanent staple in the grips of me fingers. Oh, and check out the can to see a brand new me. Been lifting some iron to boost me biceps, triceps, and me deltoids. You know what they say, sun's out, guns out. Work your tan and crack a can of Sunnyside Session IPA.
All right, Catherine. The Steam Whistle's tasting great. How's your sunny side?
Oh, it's good.
Roland Baggett is very happy that you're drinking that. It's rapid fire time. So let's try to keep this going fast. I always screw up, so you keep me on target today if you can. What beer, other than Steam Whistle or Great Lakes, have you been enjoying recently?
Oh, Fairweather High Grade.
Okay. Name one brewery, not your own, that's consistently impressed you.
I mean, Bellwoods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to whisper.
Okay, but Bellwoods.
If you could bring back one discontinued Steam Whistle beer, what would it be?
Steam Whistle beer. Oh.
Von Bugle.
No. That would be the last on the list. I would bring back the Harvest.
The Harvest Lager?
Yeah. Okay.
If you could bring back one discontinued Gruit.
Oh, I don't even know the Gruits. Pass.
Okay. Name your celebrity doppelganger.
I have been told. Okay, there's a weird one that this one man in a pizza told me. It was like the Venus that's like in the shell.
The Venus that's in the shell.
Anyway, I don't know.
Oh, it, like the shell motor oil?
No.
What? I was gonna say
no. It's like some like Greek figure that like is in the shell. I don't know. I don't look like anyone, I guess.
Okay.
I don't think I have one.
I was gonna
you
say,
tell me.
Mike Boone behind the mic is probably thinking
I'm not
of
also
one
like
at the moment.
if there's my greatest weakness in the entire universe is celebrity names.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know.
Do you know Pink Pony Club?
Pink Pony Club.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
That's not a celebrity name though.
No, I know, but we were having this debate with my son the other day because he was pronouncing it wrong or whatever, and I said, I could not tell you because he's asking me who she is, and I was like, I have no idea. I don't know why I just told that story, but that's
now we're here. We're present.
Name a person or brewery in the industry that has or continues to inspire you.
There's so many. Like I think there's actually, she's not in the industry. Her name is Carmen Vicente. She was so she recent, like a year and a half ago or so, left the industry, but she's
like gorgeous.
Oh yeah. And I am in awe of what she's even done after she's left. She was with Bellwoods for 12 years and did all of their
started
marketing.
as a brewer, marketer.
Yeah, she's done it all. So she I'm always watching what she's doing. And
before she left,
impressed.
she did a great presentation at the Ontario Craft Brewers Conference.
She's incredible. Yeah, she's whenever she lets me talk to her, I appreciate it. So
best time and place for a beer.
Time. I will say the truthful. I mean, Friday around 6, actually 7 after your child's gone to bed.
You should come over for driveway beers one time.
Perfect. I'm in.
Favorite brewery you've ever toured?
Favorite brewery I've ever toured. I toured Deschutes a long time ago, and it was really neat.
Black Butt.
Black Butt.
That's one of their beers.
Oh, I don't know if that was present or maybe my memory of
it's a big, robust barrel aged, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If you could only drink one beer for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Lug Light.
Lug Light?
Yeah. I love Lug Light.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be hard-pressed not to have in my top 5. I'd be hard-pressed not to have Steam bottles.
Oh, I mean, of course, but like...
No, you already mentioned
I think I need a 4. I need a 4%. I like a multiple drink and...
Name a bar that no longer exists that you miss the most.
Oh. There was that one near Honest Ed's. Is it Victory Cafe?
Victory Cafe. Yeah. The original.
The original Victory. The new one isn't the same thing.
No, it's not the same at all. No. What's the biggest mistake you've made in the brewery or in a brewery, and what did it teach you?
Okay, so about 1 million Mill Street bottles have the incorrect neck because I approved the wrong artwork. It was supposed to be like, I mean, it's a small thing, but for
like
a marketer,
the painted label? Yeah.
Painted label on 1 million bottles was black instead of white.
It was
it said like there was like there's text that says organic on the neck, and then for the lifetime of that brand up to that point, it was always white.
Okay, with black font on it?
No, just the white. The neck was like printed in white ink, and then I approved black ink because we had like a bottle rendering that was black, like just for art reasons, and then so I approved it as black, and then I saw them arrive, and I approved 1 million bottles.
Was that Mill Street days or Labatt days of Mill Street?
It was Mill Street days.
Okay.
I mean, it was also, but they live around forever because they're reusable. Sure. So like there was probably about 10 years where
And
your
what
case would
happened?
have a mix.
Anyone?
Honestly, people are pretty chill about it.
they're
I was
just
like,
better.
it was me. I'm like,
Yeah.
if I making a mistake on anything, I'm pretty upset with myself.
Well, we get upset if we do a label that has an incorrect spelling or something, and then we're like, okay, we'll turn that into a positive. Hey, people, tell us if you can find the typo in this.
Love it.
If you could have a beer with just one person in the whole world, dead or alive, famous or not, who would you choose?
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray?
Yeah.
Do you think he'd drink craft beer? Or do you think he's like a Scotch guy? Or do you think he even drinks anymore?
Probably not anymore, but I think in the moment, he'd drink whatever you're drinking. Just seems like that kind of guy.
Steam Whistle?
Yeah, he'd have a steam, he'd have a Steam Whistle.
And the last question here, best hangover cure?
I find coffee, and what is it? There's I find like there's like a vitamin thing you can take.
Pedialyte?
I mean, that work when you're in dire straits, you should definitely pick up some Pedialyte. But there's like these like hangover like pills you can get, but a little multivitamin.
You had to think about that, so you probably don't get hungover that much, do you?
Not these
anymore.
days.
Yeah.
I had my time.
You have a little one.
I have a child. I mean, I'm an afternoon drinks type of gal these days. So my hangover kind of happens around 8.
Right when 7:00 your son goes to bed, 8:00 Catherine goes to bed.
Yeah. Then I eat and then we're good.
Yeah. Catherine, this has been fantastic. It was so great to hear about your, in my words, amazing career in beer and all the things that you've accomplished and or have had a hand in shaping. So it's been fun watching you from a distance, and I greatly respect everything that you've achieved and deserved along the way. So, and thanks again for coming on and for the bottles of Steam Whistle. That made my whole week. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Troy. It's been great.
And that's it. That's all, folks. Episode 41 with the talented Catherine Oppedisano, Vice President of Marketing with Steam Whistle, has moved from the mash tun to the fermenters. If you enjoyed our conversation or any other episodes, please leave a review or comment wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode was fueled by bottles of Steam Whistle. And yeah, Catherine snuck in a can of Sunnyside Session IPA, which you can find all over Ontario at LCBO stores, beer stores, grocery stores, convenience stores, and at both GLB retail locations, online at greatlakesbeershop.ca for free local home delivery. You can visit the brewery at 30 Queen Elizabeth Boulevard in Etobicoke, or grab some delicious eats and fresh pours at our brew pub at 11 Lower Jarvis Street in Toronto. If you have any content you'd love to hear us discuss on the show, guest ideas, or just want to tell us what you're drinking, drop us a line at podcast@greatlakesbeer.com. Until next time, please remember to keep tipping your glass of fresh GLB in the right direction. Supporting local never tasted so good.
To learn more about what's happening at Great Lakes Brewery, visit greatlakesbeer.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter or follow Great Lakes Beer on your favorite social media platforms.